Alright everyone, today's video is going to be a guide for player characters who are new on how to fill out their first character sheet. So the first thing you're going to have to ask your DM is what array that they're using, alright? So an array is the is how you found out your 6 ability scores. So the most common one is rolling 46. Point buy is also very common. I see the standard array gets no love. I use the standard array plus in my games, but whatever array you have, you're going to use that to fill out your 6 ability scores. And you just assign them wherever you want based on your class. So if you were a barbarian, you'd want high strength and con. If you were a wizard, you want high intelligence, and so on and so forth. And I'll be posting throughout the next weeks guides on how to make a character for each of the specific classes. But so at level 1, you're going to choose your 6 ability scores. All right, you're going to pick your class. Let's say, for example's sake, we chose a fighter. So we'd probably want high strength and high constitution for our fighter. Not a very mad build. So we've got our 6 ability scores assigned. Let's say we had 18 strength and 16 con. All right, so a score of 18 and 19 gives you a +1 modifier, while a score of 16 and 17 gives you a +3 modifier. Now each class has a hit die. For barbarians, it's a d12. For martials, it is a d10. For monks, rogues, warlocks, druids, and clerics, it is a d8. For warlocks as well as a d8, and for a wizard and a sorcerer, it's a d6. And if I fail to mention your class, you're probably a d8, because I know I touched on everything else. So you've got that. You've got your hit die. So at level 1, our fighter, he's going to have his maximum hit die value of 10 because he's a martial. So he's got a hit die of a d10. Right, fighter, paladin, and ranger have a d10. So he has 10 plus his con at level 1. He's got 16 con, which is a +3 modifier, so he's got 13 hit points at level 1. Now his armor class, let's say he's a sword and board fighter, which means he wields a sword and a shield. He's got an armor class of 16 because that's the base armor that a fighter comes with. If you so choose, a fighter gets chainmail, I believe it's called. And then he's got a shield bumping his armor class up to 18. Now let's say he's a half-orc fighter, so that increases his strength and his constitution. He gains relentless endurance and dark vision and brutal critical. And he also has a speed of 30, right? So we've covered armor class, we've covered speed, his dexterity. Let's say he's got a dexterity of 14. So his dexterity bonus will be 2 because a score of a 14 or a 15 will give you a modifier of 2. And your initiative bonus is equal to your dexterity modifier. So now he's got his initiative as well. We've got his 6 ability scores and their attributes. Saving throws. Now here's what I do for saving throws. You can do it differently. Each class gets 2 saving throws that they start out with. I think fighter gets strength and constitution. What I do is I just let that player pick which 2 saving throws they feel their character would have had, because it gives them more control over what the character would be like. Because it doesn't make sense for every fighter to be good at strength and con. It doesn't make sense for every druid to be good at wisdom and I think it's intelligence for a druid. It doesn't make sense for those to be so universal. It should be maybe a list that they pick from, but I feel that it's best to just say, okay, which saving throws would your character likely have, and that's how you get those saving throws right there. Same thing for skills, from the background, from the race, and from the class. I just give them a total skill pool, and I let them assign their skills however they want from the 18 skills. So you pick your skill proficiencies, you pick your saving throw proficiencies based on how your DM does it. Weapons, languages, and tools go in the bottom left square, and I'm basing this off of the classic D&D character sheet, but that's kind of a minor thing. It's not going to come up too often, and whichever character sheet you have will have an area for it, but that's usually where you put those all together. Okay, so weapon modifiers and spellcasting ability modifiers. I'll go over weapon first because we're going with a fighter. We're using a longsword. We're a strength-based fighter. We have a strength score of 18. 18 has a +4 modifier, and at level 1 through level 4, we have a proficiency bonus 2. At level 5 through 8, it's 3, and every 4 levels, it jumps up by 1 point. So at level 1, we have a proficiency of 2 and a strength of 4. And 2 plus 4 is 6. So the bonus to our attack roll, the d20 roll, is 6. Now the damage roll is going to be 1d8 plus our strength, our weapon ability modifier. We've got our weapon attack modifier of +6 and our weapon ability modifier of +4. Okay, those are 2 separate things. Ability modifier goes to attack combined with proficiency, and then weapon ability alone goes to damage. So that's how you get those numbers, right? And it's just a longsword. And then let's say he was wielding a greatsword instead, so he would have the same modifier. So he'd have greatsword, It would be +6 for the attack bonus because it's still a strength-based weapon. For all strength-based weapons, it's going to be the same. For all dex-based weapons, it'll use your dexterity modifier. So it's going to get a dex of 14. So if he also had a short sword, it would be +4, right? Because he's got 2 dexterity and 2 proficiency, so +4 to attack, and then it's going to be 1d6 +2 for the damage because he's only got 2 dexterity, right? But back to the greatsword, it'll be 1d12 +4 because it's a strength-based weapon. So that should cover weapons pretty well for you. And the final thing is spell save DCs and spell attack bonus. So the spell attack bonus is much the same as the weapon attack bonus. It's just going to be your spellcasting ability modifier, which in this case we'll say wizard, is intelligence. So we'll take his intelligence, we'll add his proficiency, which at level 1 is 2, and he has his spellcasting attack modifier, spellcasting ability modifier, I should say. So whenever he has his firebolt, he'll add that number, that +6, and he'll increase it to his attack roll, +6 to his attack roll because that's his spellcasting ability modifier plus his proficiency. And that sees if he hits. And if it's a firebolt, he'll roll 1d10. And spells do not have a damage bonus unless it's included in the spell, like a disintegrate has +40 force damage. But they will not have a modifier to the damage at all. So you wouldn't add your intelligence to that. You would just add your intelligence to the attack roll. So the damage is a straight d10. For the attack roll, it's a +6 because it's 4 intelligence and 2 proficiency, right? So that's almost everything you need for your character sheet. The final thing that's very common is passive perception. So passive perception in any passive score is going to be 10 plus that score's ability modifier. So if you look on your character sheet, it will have all of the scores, all of the skills, the 18 skills with their respective ability that they're tied to. Now DMs can switch this up. They could have a strength-based intimidation, or they could have a wisdom-based intimidation. You could use any skill with any ability as the DM describes, but the passive scores are going to work off the default ability unless your DM says otherwise. Like there's some DMs who have religion be a wisdom-based skill, right? Which does make sense. Religion, wisdom, right? That might make sense. But for your passive perception, just using default skills will be 10 plus your perception modifier. So that'll be 10 plus your wisdom, and if you are proficient with perception, one of the 18 skills, you will add your proficiency bonus. Now, how do you know if you're proficient with something? Well, it'll tell you on your character sheet, okay? Whenever you make your character, you'll get proficiencies from your race, from your class, and from your background. All right, so all those factors calculate what you are proficient in, whether it's skills, tools, languages, all of those kinds of things. So that is everything you need for your character sheet. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to comment down below if I forgot anything. I want you to go to my Discord and tell me about the troubles you had making your first character so that can be addressed in a later video. And I want you to share and subscribe so that everyone can see this video. And as always, if we get 50 views, I'll give you guys a bonus video. Good luck, goodbye, and have fun in your games.